Welcome back to the channel. This is my first video for the year. Probably a bit late because we're quite far in January already, but I will try and be better with it this year. It's something I really want to do, is be more consistent with my posts on YouTube, because I really feel that with the longer format ones, although there's less people that can actually watch this video, or they will actually watch this video straight through, because people have extremely short attention spans these days and just want to watch shorts the whole time. I do think there's a lot of people that do take a lot of value from the longer format videos, because that's actually where the value is at, not reels and not shorts, because here we can actually talk about stuff in depth with nuances. My top 3 agility games that you can play to develop your change of direction ability. So before I start with this, just remember that there is a place for closed type drills. I do like them, I am a fan of them, and I do them myself, and I let my athletes do them as well. There's a lot of value in them, and I do not agree with coaches that kind of bash them the whole time. I do see the reason why some coaches might bash them, because I think the way that some people do them is useless. But closed drills have a space, and playing games like an actual sport is also the cream of the crop. That is how you will develop your agility the best. But in the middle, there lays something that is just as good, or kind of in the between closed drills and actually playing the sport, and that is doing your agility games, doing a bit of one-on-one games. Alright, in these games you use rules and constraints to put defenders at a disadvantageous position, so to create the success feeling for the attacker, so the attackers can realize there are patterns in what they do and which patterns are effective. And that is essentially how athletes learn, and how you start to really get into a good groove of agility and what works for you and what doesn't. These type of games, athletes will get a lot of confidence in their ability to do this, and essentially what they do is they tend to be able to solve the situation that you put them in with these games better, and that translates to the pitch, because the pitch has various situations, various stuff where defenders are in a disadvantageous position, and then as an attacker you have to decide what is the best solution for this, for that defender not to be able to catch you, to tackle you, or whatever. And that is how you basically learn how to sidestep or juke or whatever you want to call it. That is how you learn to do it. Here's my top 3 games to develop this. I have a ton of more games, but these are just 3 basic introductory ones that I use with a lot of my athletes. So our first drill is a basic mirroring drill. Mirroring drills are nice because as a defender you also have to look the whole time, but as an attacker you need to be creative with trying to put your defender off their feet, trying to get them to stay behind you, not be in line with you the whole time, trying to get them to fall behind with the patterns or with the movements that you are doing. You can pack out 2 cones 20 meters apart from each other. Within those 20 meters you're going to make 2 smaller blocks of cones. Alright, athletes will then choose one attacker and one defender. The defender will be mirroring. The attacker gets to bounce around within the cones as far as possible. The defender has to try and mirror them and stick with them to the best of their ability. Once the attacker chooses to run a certain side, the defender has to try and touch the attacker before they get to that cone. The rules are that the attacker has to run once they cross that mini gate within the cones, within the 20 meter cones. So if they decide to cross over the cone, they cannot go back. So once they choose to go over it, then they have to sprint to that cone. Alright, and the defender gets to touch them. So that is your first drill. What I really like about this drill is athletes get to react on each other. It rarely happens that a defender reads them, and you also get a bit of sprinting in, which is also really nice. Drill number 2 is very similar, also kind of a mirroring type of thing. You'll have 2 sets of cones 5 meters apart, maybe 5 meters is quite big. You can even go for 4 meters, 3 meters, that's also fine. Make both blocks from the defender and the attacker even, so you'll have 2 cones 5 meters apart in line with the attacker. The attacker will move laterally to those cones. Same thing for the defender. Okay, as soon as an attacker touches a cone with the ball or with their hand, however you like to do this, the defender has to replicate it. So if the attacker touches the left cone, the defender has to touch their right cone, and then keep on mirroring. So every time it's a mirror action, but as soon as a cone is touched from the attacker, the defender has to mirror it. If the attacker sees a gap to go score, then they can do so. So the attacker has to try and manipulate the defender to be at a disadvantage, to be behind with their movements, and then choose the opportunity to go score on the attacker's lateral line. The attacker needs to try their best to get them behind, so throw them off their feet. As soon as they get a good advantage or a good space between them, a space between their movements, it's a good opportunity for the attacker to go try and score. What I also really like about this drill is its quick movements. Defenders and attacker has to react quick to each other's movements, and you get scoring opportunities. The lateral movement is very change of direction like, staying low because you have to go down low to the cone. Put the defender even more in a disadvantage. So if you see players are struggling, you want to give them more that feeling of success, give them easier success at the beginning. You can move the defender's cones further out than the attacker's cones. This will let the defender have to run further each time and make the gaps also more common. So the gaps will appear more regularly. The next one, this is getting more and more out of the mirroring situation and more open play. You have a defender turning their back to the attacker. The defender then gets to mirror the attacker behind them the whole time. So you can mirror them the whole time. The attacker can do the same thing, try and set up a good situation, try and put the defender in a disadvantageous position, try and put the defender in a bad position to defend, so move left to right, or right, left, or any type of thing to get the defender to move. So you gotta manipulate your defender. In all of these drills, you have to manipulate him. As soon as the attacker crosses the line, the defender may now turn around and defend the attacker. The attacker then obviously had to do something before they cross the line to manipulate the defender, and then once they move out on that cone, try and go score. This drill is really great because now we have to go forward and go score a lot. We did it in the second drill already, so we progressed it already. However, now it's different because now you have a defender's back is turned to you, and they react quick and they're in a better position. So it's a bit of a harder drill, but it teaches attackers to really use movement to manipulate the defender and then move from there. So it's almost, I don't want to call it a double step or a double movement, but it's something in the line of that where you have to do something. Whatever you do before you cross that line is going to determine what you can do after you cross that line, or how successful that is. So if you can get them to be more on the right side and they're going to have to come over hard to the other side once you cross that line, you can step them back or anything like that. So that is what you need from attackers. Use these drills. These are good progressions as well. I put it in a kind of a order in which you can progress them as well. Very good for any age athlete, old, young, whatever. It works really well. This is just 3 of the millions that I do and that I like, but these are very basic ones that I do regularly with newer athletes or whatever. So this is good drills or games that you can do and incorporate to increase your ability to change of direction and your reaction.